Alright, well, before we continue with this, there is actually something new in our court record, which would be the music box disc. Let's see about examining this first, before we do our thing. I cannot find anything out of place. No? Not even this obvious looking blood on the disc right over here. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny.
Yeah, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, the small amount of blood.
Yeah, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict.
When Mrs. Star tried to grab the disc from him, the pins scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger.
You know what this reminds me of? I don't know about you guys, but here where I live, like years and years ago, like decades ago, I'm not sure if it's still a thing nowadays, but like many years ago, they used to make like lots of walls with protrusions in them. Like I call them like popcorn walls. Like the walls, they are not like, you know, how to describe it, like, you know, when you touch the disc and all that, it's all neat and such. Like you can rub your hand on the disc, like, oh, easy peasy. But when you rub your hand on one of those walls, like with protrusions in them, it's not a good feeling. Like that's why I'm thinking that in similar case to right over here, if you hit your head on the wall, like those popcorn walls that I'm describing over here with the protrusions, it is a lot more dangerous than your usual neat walls and such. Like, I don't know what people were smoking for them to make like popcorn walls and such. If any of you know what I'm talking about, if any of you know what kind of walls I'm talking about. Such. What? For McGilded? Unless maybe I'm reading it like upside down. No, it's Mr. Gilded. Okay. You know what?
There's a little scrap of paper stuck on the reverse side of the disc. Look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name.
Yeah, you know what? When Eggert Benedict said that this item was stored on 15th of February, I had my suspicions. I had my suspicions in regards to a particular case that we had during that time. And well, here we are. Here it is. Spells its name like right in front of me. For McGilded. McGilded? It couldn't be.
But it is, Miss Naruto. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live.
But why? Why is his name on this? Alright. On the reverse side is a note that reads for McGilded. Oh boy. Okay, well, you know what this means, folks? We're definitely going to be continuing the pursuit of our truth in that case. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly it is because the man is a criminal. Because clearly, like, you know, criminals have instant access to such information, like, right from the start.
But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he's a criminal, as he said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret.
Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Winterback will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Oh my gosh. I assure you, I'm not so scrupulous. Well, Hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. With tenderness. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them. And once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Stroms. An excellent idea, Mr. Noby. An excellent idea! Ha!
Well then, Miss Narada, you know what to do, I'm sure.
I'm sure he knows. And I know as well what needs to be done. Lights! Why, hello everyone! I am Mage Noby! Are you ready for our first magic show?
Oh my, what?
Magic show? Spectacular! Yep, let's listen to that great deduction again, and see if we can massage it into shape. Yep. Tenderize that juicy meat of a deduction with the magical touch. Woo! Very well then. Let us start once more from the beginning. Of Sherlock Holmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. With a magical touch. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this ship in the first place is the Stafford Kudman fly. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor.
Yeah, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he?
No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. Indeed. But where? My guess is that there is something magical to that cane of his. Maybe it's a wizard staff. Or there may be something written on that paper? The question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Alright then, let's see. Okay. Oh. Oh. Would you look at that?
Oh. Look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here.
Uh-oh. It's a magic incantation. That of the evil variety. She's planning to attack Gina. I don't believe it.
What is it?
Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. You know, sometimes I imagine how time just stops and Duryunosuke just goes behind Benedict and just reads on it. Or maybe it's not necessarily that the time is stopped, but Benedict notices that Duryunosuke is just hunched over behind him and reads the paper. Like, what the hell are you doing? It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade.
Goodness.
There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Imagine a day where we are in the situation investigating a person, and we have to move our camera at an angle, like under the person's butt. Like Ryonosuke just goes behind the person, like puts his head between the legs of the person and just looks up to see the clue. Like, aha, there it is. Well, as long as it's not a lady, I guess. Imagine if that person that we're analyzing in that angle would be Van Zieks. Although if you showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure.
And look, the details of the ship have been written down here too. Windybank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption deadline, 15th April.
Which is today's date.
Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper?
I don't know, but I assume the reason why he's being suspicious about this is because of this. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the info about Mr. Strahd. Quite so, my dear fellow. You appeared at the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer. Pertaining to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Windyback's pawnbrokery here. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. In fact, you had your eyes on Gina for a while now, for reasons we have yet to determine. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windyback's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Mr. Strahd. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing fuel. What's a fuel?
It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Miss Naruto.
There is definitely something secret about that cane, that's for sure. And it could be a distraction. An illusion to fool us into thinking that it was the fuel. But in actuality, it may be something else on the cane we should truly focus our eyes on. You know, when I'm thinking about this, like, Mage Noby's way of speaking is similar to Shom's. I just noticed this. So dramatic. The way we prolong the words and end our sentences dramatically. That makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement.
Yeah, exactly. And Mr. Shom's is right. It appears to be missing on this cane.
But it doesn't actually look broken, does it?
No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Shom's identified the cane as suspicious.
In other words, there is something secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. And it's not... surely not the fuel. The first time I'm hearing about fuel. What is this though? Like AG. Like, I've been thinking about this. Look here, Miss Sato. There are some letters on the handle.
Yeah, those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names.
So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean?
That's right. And initials on this cane obviously...
Oh. AG. 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 Why does it feel as though that's not quite right? The contradiction of which you speak of. Well, he's surely looking at it. Unless there's something on the back. Nah, this is actually the same. Okay, well, it would have to be the initials, that's for sure. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, when you say, Mr. Benedict. We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet, in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. Indeed. Quite a curious thing. It surely reminds me of one thing I did a while ago, and I will show you like right now as the first magic trick of the day. Here, I have a magic staff. It is quite sturdy. Also, here, you can see the inside of my hat. It is quite empty, as everyone in the room can see. Did everyone get to see it? It is quite empty inside. You won't have to worry about a thing. Now, watch, as I will swallow my magic staff and have it come from under the hat. And... ta-da! Magical! Wow! Oh, God! Sorcery! Sorcery! An incontrovertible contradiction indeed. Would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't. You said before that you had that cane for years. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoil, you inadvertently facilitate the answer for the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Mr. Strahd redeemed that fine-looking overcoat. And now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him.
But we know that he actually identified Mr. Strahd from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue.
So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Prove that it doesn't belong to him. There you go. There's something lovely going on over here. I was thinking that maybe his pants got ripped because of all the lying he did. But no, apparently it is this.
So it is.
Do you know...
A moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of this seam ripping open.
If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. Again, going back to what I was discussing before about, like, investigating under the butt, under the ass, to see if there is a rip, like there in the pants. The sleeves are stretched and busty, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart.
That I'd like to see.
Sato?
So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around?
It's just where they're gonna do some thought. Okay, well, in which case it surely must be this. It was the split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Yep. You were clutching that cane, which would make us think that you were trying to conceal it somehow. But no, you were putting your hand on the shoulder where the rip happened. Yes, because the overcoat is very obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. This catalog of truths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windyback. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed the wheeze to fetch some tawdry article of polish. Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in a proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? Ne sais pas. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your further glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. Their method is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn.
Direction and deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think.
Yep. We are creating like different paths in the universe to travel through, Miss Sato. And once we arrive at our truth, so we will reach the center of the universe. Yeah, just like he said. No more talk of tunneling into the sewers. Which is a pity because that sounded rather exciting. Bank robbery. Oh no. It got to his head? It got to his head! First we stole the music disc, and now we're thinking of robbery? Well, I surely would have the method of stealing money. I do have magic teleportation. Anyway, as tempting as that may sound, you cannot deny that this mysterious gentleman didn't know the watchword.
Yeah, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windyback would never allow you to redeem that article.
Or, looking at it another way, if it did know that word, Mr. Windyback would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. Turning the chessboard around. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Council note. What is this, though?
Baker Street Works is the title.
Yeah, and it does mention Sewerage Works, as Mr. Sholmes said. Oh! And specifically mentions that tonight's sale at the confectionery shop on the corner won't be affected.
Case solving first, Miss Naruto. Case solving first.
Ugh. Curse my overly expressive face. Well, we do have a lovely home at Mr. Sholmes' estate. But we are still short on the money, nonetheless. So, what about this? The notelet. Look at this, Mr. Sato.
Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Winbeck has scribbled to himself.
Let's see. What does it say? Oh, Professor. You better be careful, Mr. Benedict. We may have already figured out the mystery behind your magic trick. Mr. Winbeck must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him, right before their eyes. And in an alarmingly clear script as well.
Oh dear, I don't even know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see?
Some juicy secrets. To rob the bank. It all amounts to robbing the bank soon enough.
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter, to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword, and notes down the response uttered on the notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger, and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. Would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. All Benedict has to do is follow his eyes to his notelet and find the magic word there to redeem the code. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusations against Mrs. Trout. In all likelihood, you followed her inside, and then observed her talking to Mr. Windybank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on a note beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Mr. Stroud. Master plan! Which brings us at last to the final chapter of the slurred scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. See, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets. Box disc. Yeah, it's another one of those words that if you try to say it like really fast, eventually you're gonna stumble on them. But you know, it really makes me think back on my idea from before of how Sholmes intentionally fucks this stuff up so that Ryonosuke himself gets to think about it and, you know, redo the dance of deduction, like, properly. Like, the structuring of how Sholmes does this stuff, like, even after all the correction that we're doing, like, we're reaching this same common point near the end where Sholmes still presents this postcard, like, no matter what. And it's like, no, we are gonna have to present something else right over here, I'm sure. But, you know, like, it's as if Sholmes already recognizes how Ryonosuke is going to deduce all this. Like, change a few things. Like, Sholmes knows what needs to be replaced specifically. Like, he has it in his head. He doesn't go with the flow, with the wind, and lets Ryonosuke just simply do like a 1-minute explanation and boom, there you go. Like, everything around here is, like, the way Sholmes structures this is quite interesting. Which according to Mr. Windybag, isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain this now, though. Yeah. Could we? Really? I better have a thorough look through all the evidence we collected so far. Yeah, there you have it. Here we have it. Cast your eyes here on this music disc with the name of Mr. McGilded, which, lucky, we had encountered him in a trial that just happened 2 months ago. Around the time this music disc was deposited, more than likely.
Take that!
See, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, for McGilded. Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded. The unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, aren't you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you squeeze yourself into. Indeed. But one thing can be said for sure. The coat makes the man. And you, sir, are no man. You are a weasel. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason he came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. And thus concludes our magic show for now. Thank you for watching. Wow. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances.
Mr. Shams, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind.
Pray tell, Miss Sato.
Well, according to what Mr. Windyback told us earlier, today was the final day on which the code could have been redeemed, was it not?
Yes? Yes, ma'am. That is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today is 15 April, so 2 months ago today would have been 15 February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. 10:30. What? But that's just...
Yeah, 15 February.
It's precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. Wait a minute. What about the date? Like, what about the hour at which the incident took place?
At 10:30 in the evening. It's precisely the time in which the terrible events were unfolding.
Okay, in which case... Suggestive is not the word. You seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. I was thinking about the day, but if it's exactly the same hour as such, well, either somebody else came here and deposited it, or it was Mr. McGilded that did it, in which case, but the entire thing that we just discussed, like, at that point is to be questioned. Man. You are of course all at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However... okay. Let's insist you hand over the music box disc now. Okay. Well, that can also be considered a good stance and such, but, you know... It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. What do I do? Shit! God damn it! He could shoot me any moment. I had to give in, but what other choice do I really have here? Mr. Windyback. This is my shop. I cannot let any harm to come to my customers, if that were to happen. I should have to take my own life. Oh shit. Well, it's official, folks. We are on the bad ending route. Mr. Windyback, no. Alright, that's enough. Gregson! Inspector Gregson! Inspector? That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So I got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be. You're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment. It would seem you have the upper hand. Right. You have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy.
Petty? Mr. Windyback very nearly met with his end.
Yeah, I hear it every single day. By his own gun, as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And all of Britain could be met. And all of Britain could be met. Wait, what? The whole Britain could be met with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on. Well, what on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. Aye! He's getting away! Get out of here, lads! Whistle the beat officer, too! Sir! Oh god, he's doing spinaroonies! There's been a state of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. So you fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector. I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in mourning. Oh, yes? Hey. Is that a racist thing? I know what that means. Yeah, it refers to us being from Japan. The land of the rising sun. I'll be taking that, whatever it is, of Mr. McGiltis down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. Okay.
No, don't! Don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine!
Sorry, miss.
But anything belonging to Mr. McGiltis has to be taken in as evidence now.
As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. And so, we hand Mr. McGillis' disc over to Inspector Gregson. And we're summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street.
See? That's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you.
Oh, really, Mr. Stratz? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm?
What? Oh my. Surely you were given that. Yeah, the D let me keep it. After I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went for the pockets and then said, "Go on then, have it," before telling me to scarborough. Always pays off, giving people a look like you ate them.
I cannot help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. Well, she survived this long, so... Again, she must have some experience in that.
What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc of mine. The music box disc?
But Mr. Wiedebeck said it was practically worthless.
I think I'm gonna go and have another batch. Give him a long art stare.
I think not, Mr. Strahd. We shan't enter Wiedebeck's again today.
Why not? That's not fair.
Well, it can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now. And taking a statement from Mr. Wiedebeck. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's gonna be a little tough on that front.
That is mine. I had the ticket for this coat, and it was on this coat's pocket. There should be something else on all. That's what that rotten coat said, ain't it?
Yeah. He did mention something about another article, didn't he? He did also have like a little bit of a slip of the tongue there. That he said initially that he was expecting something and then retracted and said that he was that there was something else that he deposited. Yeah, basically this means that somebody else must have deposited all that stuff. and he was expecting it. He wouldn't have said that he was expecting some stuff if he was the one who deposited. So what, does this mean that he didn't deposit either? It couldn't have been that Miguel deposited it either. I'm sure it must be somebody that we don't know of yet, maybe.
Well then, that's mine too. Whatever it is.
Now she's really pushing her luck. Mrs. Trout, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your hope for today.
Yeah, it's all your fault, Sholmes.
So, what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening?
Eh?
Iris will be delighted to cook, I'm sure. And I'm entertaining you with a modest violin recital. Yep, we shall increase our party by another one today. Join us!
No, Ta.
Oh.
Why would I come around your place, eh? Have you lost your air or something?
Oh, look at her going all too into the mode on us. She's adorable.
Oh dear, she's gone.
Having her riled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I cannot help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. I mean, like, on the flip side, there's free food. Like, she can she can have, like, to talk, she can finally have one moment to talk to somebody, since she might be lonely, like, a lot of the times. On the flip side, she can have new friends. Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the diner this evening.
Sweet!
And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry. I believe I'll have a rather splendid surprise to show you.
Oh, how exciting! What is it? What is it?
You'll have to wait and see, Miss Sutton. Until later then. Maybe we can have a lovely violin. I mean, he did say that he's gonna have like a lovely violin recital for us to listen to. I wonder what else. We can do some more magic shows, like tonight, that's for sure. Well, in that case, let's go back to Sholmes' suit. Whoa! Sholmes' suit.
Ah, Susie, Aruna, come in, come in.
Good afternoon, Iris.
Thank you so much for breakfast this morning.
Are my eyes deceiving me, or is this place looking different? Or maybe I have tunnel vision and for like 2 months I never actually saw the other side of this room.
Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already.
Busy as always.
I am. Preparing everything for dinner this evening.
Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you?
Oh yes. After all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. You'll never guess.
Well, gee, I wonder. Could it be Zeke's? I got those little eyes of her shining. Oh! Stop it! You're gonna make me explode!
Oh dear. It is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Jeannie! Isn't that exciting? Oh. What a surprise! Yeah, that's wonderful news.
Who is Gina? Wow, I seems overjoyed at the idea. Because as far as they know, like, we only met Gina like once.
I don't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional.
Well, that does sound like fun. You get to learn something new. I guess. What do I see there? Like, on her backpack? Are those like, bunny plushies? Wearing, Iris's and, Shom's outfits? My goodness. My goodness. That's just fantastic. Wow.
I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you Miss Nerdo?
By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Shom's up to?
Hardy? Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back.
Oh, Mr. Shom's? Just so you know, I've actually bought some new drugs, tea and such, for you to enjoy. I beg that you won't speak to me. Oh, sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I also don't know how to respond to that.
I do apologize. When he gets like this, it's completely obvious to everyone. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything.
Yeah, I see.
Really. He behaves just like a child sometimes, Hardy does.
Look who's the adult and who is the child in this, in this home.
Mr. Shums and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they?
Yeah, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are.
What's the matter, Reno? Yeah, there is such a funny look on your face.
Yeah.
I know what it is. Why did this girl live here with Mr. Shums? You're wondering. Am I right?
How? How did you... I mean, clearly it's not something that we asked you, like, these 2 months. And you clearly rejected us, and you clearly rejected from answering that.
Oh, Reno. I can read you like a book.
This girl is dangerous. We gotta leave!
Don't worry. You can ask me anything. I won't mind. Not at all.
Alright, well, might as well. Let's see.
I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hardy, haven't you?
Well, it has crossed my mind, yeah. That and where are your real parents?
My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore.
In a sad way or an even sadder way?
Mommy passed away when I was born. And at around the same time, my father... Well, he had to go far away then because of one of the cases he and Ernie were working on.
Yeah, I see. Wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley?
Yeah. Daddy and Ernie were always solving mysterious cases together.
I can imagine. She didn't mention that before.
He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there.
Okay. He recorded them all?
So, you mean it's true? Mr. Shums really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases? Oh yes. I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it?
So, Mr. Shams' partner was your father? Yeah.
Exactly. He told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest. But that only made me want to look even more. So, I opened it up. I found your father's memoirs. Yep. So I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell out of his chair. But then he told me. That's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father.
So Iris' father was Mr. Sholmes' partner.
I practically lived with Harry all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock. When Harry told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean...
Wait, what? Yeah, you must have done.
I wonder why Mr. Shaw chose to tell you. At such a young age. Well, Hardy says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me.
Well, you surely are a smart cookie after all.
No, I've been living with Hardy all these years. You might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouth sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, actually. I always assumed that Mr. Holmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no. Harry's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solved the case, he all but vanished from his mind. Oh, I see. The other day it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved.
Well, partly maybe that he's focusing on some stuff and he forgets past events, but something tells me that it also has something to do with your father, maybe. That he clearly wouldn't want to think much on the cases he worked with his father. Since... well...
So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone.
You can say that again. Like, even the culprit was invited to that again? To repeat the process?
You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right. Wilson. That is Dr. John H. Wilson. Enough of his diary is that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study. So that I could learn. That's why it prompted me to study and study. So that I could earn a doctorate as well.
Iris' father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. And the victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Oh, it's finally connecting. The dots are being connected. That's right. Visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University. And a man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Miss Sato.
Yes?
Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. At least for now.
I think that would be for the best.
Well, yeah, eventually we are gonna be having that kind of conversation. But for now, let's talk about Jeannie. So, by Jeannie, you mean Miss Lestrade? The young woman from Mr. McGildy's case 2 months ago, right?
Yes. who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after the trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. Now we're the best of friends. Hooray! Oh, what a lovely tale. Yep, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. And I chased after her down the back alleys.
Okay, interesting idea of friendship. Well, a unique way of spending time together, I guess. Yeah, you know what? I guess so. They would be friends already. I guess that explains why Gina still has the smoke grenade launcher, or has like a totally different one. Because we've seen her with the smoke grenade launcher at the beginning when we met her at the pawnbrokery. Yeah. Because they surely interact with each other.
And then I let her have the latest color smoke grenade ever developed.
Ah, yeah. Okay, there you go. Just as I said.
Oh. There are so many beautiful colors in the world. Genie wants me to make a whole rainbow.
Oh. I suppose this means you've let Mr. Star keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you?
Yep, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hardy always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now.
Poor Harley. Yeah, like that's like the highest motivation for when you try to create stuff. To annoy the ever-living fuck out of Sholmes in like unique ways.
Oh, I cannot wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been so long since she just came over. So excited.
As long as she does actually come. Ah, my dear fellows. How good to see you. Okay, well, now you're a little bit better.
Eek! Mr. Sholmes!
Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? I mean, we already did. Yeah, sorry, Sholmes. Well, no matter. So, how the devil are you? Oh, we. Wait, you do remember what happened today, right? We've been with you for most of the day, you know. Goodness, really?
Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes. Is your violin unscathed?
Huh? My violin? What are you even talking about, dear madam?
Oh,
Never mind then. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows.
Oh, another music box disc.
No, not another disc, Miss Sutton. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGilda's disc. Sneaky, sneaky Sholmes. Alright.
Oh my!
Then, what's it doing here? You know, at times, Miss Naruto, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at thievery, larceny. I mean, that's same, similar thing, but, you know.
That'll be wonderfully exciting. I'll be your pickpocketing assistant. And Uno could be our go-to lawyer if he ever got caught.
The thieving detective and the corrupt lawyer. Man, that will be quite a different adventure. Right.
Plus, Cecilia has such beautiful handwriting. She could write all our menacing crime notifications.
Yeah, you Iris can be like a detective fiction writer, but also, well, like crime fiction in general. You can talk about murderers and such.
Yes, I'd be delighted.
You can write like autobiography of how a thief thinks. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Okay then. Well, about this music box disc.
I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. Oh. Some of that bar that you were eating before. What is that? Shom's Caramel? You have your own brand of caramel? That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Shom's. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you hear me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is for Mr. McGillis down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh. Yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, they have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yep. Yeah, you did. But I still don't understand. Oh, don't tell me that you did like a magic trick on him. Like a sleight of hand. It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars. Like this. You... Wow. It's actually even better than a sleight of hand. You actually created like a new music disc made out of caramel. Wait, you had the caramel bar of that size? The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image of the caramel. Indeed. This caramel is quite exceptional. I've developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution. Wait, how big are these things? Now that I'm questioning it. Because I assume that these are huge discs. Like, you know, the one that you would see on a gramophone. Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press, and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Like, keys made out of caramel. Man, you truly are fitting to be a thief. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess, I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Can we actually play like a disc made out of caramel in a music box? I am damn curious about that. If it can replicate things like that. If so, then how come we've never done that before? Sounds like it costs less to do that. It would be more efficient.
Do tell us then, Mr. Shams. What music does the disc play?
Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. None? Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear friends? No, I'm afraid not.
Goodness, you don't know, Rudo? Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called the comb. That's what produces the sound.
Man, this surely looks like a difficult puzzle. Well, as long as I have some hints at... Oh wait, this is not latent.